The dashboard clock glowed 3:47 p.m. when my phone buzzed a sharp vibration, cutting through the hum of my client meeting's aftermath. I'd just sealed another deal for Caldwell Construction, the empire I'd clawed from nothing over 15 years, a monument to the American dream my father never lived to see. The unknown number's text stopped my heart. Your house now. Your kids aren't safe. My blood froze like ice in my veins. I called Olivia, nothing. Liam, my 17-year-old son, no answer. Sophie, my 15-year-old daughter, silence. I abandoned my briefcase on the polished conference table, sprinted to my Lexus, and tore through Portland Street speed limits be damned toward our Lake Oswego estate. The tires screeched as I skidded into the driveway. Olivia's Mercedes sat there pristine, but next to it was Caleb's beat-up Ford truck, my brother, who was supposed to be in Seattle for a week. Worse, a black SUV I didn't recognize loomed nearby. Something was wrong, bone-deep wrong. I burst through the oak front door, the grand foyer feeling like a tomb's entrance. The house was deathly quiet, except for hushed, panicked whispers from the living room. "Olivia," I shouted. "Liam, Sophie." Rounding the corner, I saw Olivia by the fireplace, her face ghost-white mascara, streaking like war paint. Caleb stood at the staircase, arms outstretched, blocking my path. "Blake, calm down," Caleb urged, palms raised, voice unsteady. "Where are my kids?" I demanded, noticing Olivia's trembling hands clutching her sweater. "They're fine," Caleb insisted, "but don't go upstairs. It's not what you think." Olivia lurched forward, voice cracking. "They made me, Blake. Please don't look in their rooms." A chill slithered down my spine. Who made you do what neither answered? I shoved past Caleb, his protest drowned by Olivia's desperate pleas echoing in the hall. I took the stairs 2 at a time, heart pounding like a war drum. Liam's room empty. Sophie's empty. At the guest bedroom's door, I twisted the knob. What I saw was unimaginable. My children, Liam and Sophie, sat bound to chairs, duct tape, gagging their mouths, eyes wide with terror. Standing over them, gun in hand, was Marcus Langston, my business partner of 12 years, my supposed friend. "Blake," Marcus said, smirking, lowering the weapon. "Right on time." Then his voice turned venomous. 8 years, Blake. 8 years I've been with Olivia. And Sophie, I've been her guide since she was a child, our little secret. The implication landed like a sledgehammer, a sickening hint of emotional manipulation twisting my daughter's trust. My vision blurred with rage. Before I could lunge, sirens wailed outside. Caleb's voice cracked behind me. I hit the silent alarm. Marcus's smirk faltered as police boots stormed the house. What had my family become? What the hell is this? I roared, lunging forward like a beast, unleashed only to feel Caleb grab me from behind his grip iron, but hesitant. "Easy," Marcus warned. Raising the gun again, his voice a hollow echo I'd never associated with the man who'd stood by me through boardroom battles. This is a conversation long overdue. Liam and Sophie struggled against their restraints, muffled screams piercing the tape like daggers to my heart. I forced myself to appear calmer than the storm raging inside, shifting into the negotiator mindset that had built my empire from the ruins of my father's death. "Let my kids go, Marcus. Whatever this is about, it's between us." Marcus laughed, a bitter, empty sound that chilled the room. "It's about family, Blake. Specifically yours." Olivia pushed past me, tears carving rivers down her face. "I didn't have a choice, Blake. He threatened the kids." Marcus motioned with the gun. "Show him Olivia. Show your husband what you've been hiding." With shaking hands, Olivia pulled a manila envelope from behind the dresser and handed it to me. Inside were photographs, dozens spanning years. Olivia and Marcus intimately entangled timestamps, revealing an affair that had festered for nearly a decade. But it wasn't just passion. Some shots showed them in warehouses exchanging briefcases, Olivia's hands on what looked like drug packets. 8 years, Blake, Marcus sneered. 8 years I've been sleeping with your wife while you built us an empire. And those packages we've been using Caldwell Construction to launder money for our side ventures, Mitsui shipments hidden in your building materials. The revelation hit like a physical blow, shattering the foundation of everything I believed. 8 years meant. Sophie, I whispered, looking at my daughter, my supposed daughter, with new eyes. Her features, which I'd always chalked up to Olivia's side, suddenly mirrored Marcus's sharp jawline. DNA test results are in there too. Marcus confirmed, his eyes gleaming with malice. Liam's yours? Sophie isn't. Caleb's grip loosened. I just found out today, Blake. Olivia called me when Marcus showed up with the gun. I came to help. And why tell me now? I demanded, my mind racing to process this betrayal while calculating escape routes for my children, at least Liam. Because you're pushing me out, Marcus snarled. The Mitchell contract you're restructuring to minimize my stake after everything I've contributed. And those Mitsui deals, they funded your kids' luxuries, Blake. The tuition, the vacations, all tainted. You contributed nothing but lies, I spat. I built Caldwell Construction. You rode my coattails, and now you've poisoned my family with your filth. Marcus pressed the gun to Sophie's temple, causing her to whimper behind the tape. You think you can discard me, that my daughter should grow up calling another man father. We've even used the profits to fund charity events where we scoped out vulnerable kids for our network, subtle grooming, nothing traceable. In that moment, rage crystallized within me into something cold and focused, a blade forged in betrayal. This wasn't just an affair. It was a web of corruption dragging innocent children into the abyss. I would get my family to safety, then destroy everyone involved, even if it meant burning my 20-year marriage to ashes and questioning the girl I'd raised as my own. What do you want? I asked, my voice deadly calm. New terms, 50% ownership, full partnership, and acknowledgement of Sophie as my daughter. Behind us, sirens wailed louder. Marcus's eyes widened. You called the police? He demanded of Olivia. I didn't, she stammered. But Caleb cut in. I triggered the silent alarm when I got here. Buying time. Marcus panicked, waving the gun wildly. In that split second of distraction, I charged, tackling him to the ground. The gun discharged a bullet, splintering the ceiling as we wrestled. I slammed his wrist against the hardwood until the weapon clattered away. Police stormed in. Moments later, finding me with my knee on Marcus's throat, his face purpling, my children still bound, and my wife and brother watching in horror as years of restrained violence erupted. As officers pulled me off, a clarity settled over me. Every person in this room, except Liam, had betrayed me, tainting the sacred bonds of family with drugs and deception. And I would never ever forgive any of them. But the web went deeper than I knew. The next 48 hours blurred into a haze of police interrogations, lawyer consultations, and sterile hospital checks for Liam and Sophie. Marcus was hauled away in cuffs, charged with kidnapping assault, and now whispers of drug trafficking based on the photos I'd glimpsed. Olivia, after hours of questioning, was released pending investigation into her role, complicit or coerced. I didn't care. I moved Liam and myself into the Four Seasons downtown, a temporary fortress, while I processed the wreckage. Sophie stayed with Olivia at her sister's place, Elisa's house, a detail that now twisted like a knife. No pain came from Sophie's absence, only a cold indifference that scared even me. "You should eat something," Liam said, his voice steady, but his eyes shadowed, watching me stare out the hotel window at Portland's glittering lights. At 17, he'd aged a decade, in a day perceptive beyond his years. "You haven't touched food since yesterday." I turned to my son, my only true kin now, and forced a grim smile. "I'm not hungry, kid." He hesitated. "What happens now? With Mom, Sophie?" "Everything." I sat beside him on the plush sofa, the weight of betrayal pressing down. "Your mother and I are done. There's no coming back from this poison they've spread. And Sophie," his voice cracked. "Sister or half-sister, they'd grown up sharing secrets, dreams. Marcus's lawyers will push for paternity. It works for me. I have no interest in raising another man's child, especially one tainted by their filth." Liam flinched at my coldness, but I couldn't soften it. The ruthlessness that had forged Caldwell Construction from my father's accident, a construction site collapse when I was 12, leaving us destitute, would now carve through my personal life. I'd built this empire to honor him, starting with odd jobs, scraping together loans, outbidding giants through sheer will. But now doubts crept in. Was it really an accident? Or something darker, like the shadows in those photos? "Mom's called 6 times, Liam said, glancing at my silenced phone. "She can call 100. I won't answer." My phone buzzed, not Olivia, but my lawyer, Benjamin Altman. "What do you have, Ben?" I asked, stepping onto the balcony. Marcus made bail family money, and Olivia's visited him. The news should have gutted me, but an icy resolve armored my heart. "Did you get what I asked?" "Yes, full access to company financials, personal accounts, communications, divorce papers drafted brutal Blake. No alimony, no property, minimal support for Sophie until paternity's confirmed. Infidelity clause invoked plus criminal conspiracy." "Good. File tomorrow." Ben paused. "The private investigator starts now, full surveillance on all of them. But Blake revenge won't—" "I'm not interested in advice, Ben, just results." Hanging up, I returned inside. Liam was asleep, face troubled, even in dreams. I covered him with a blanket hand lingering. "I promise," I whispered. "We'll rebuild. But first they pay." That night, I created a note on my phone. The list. 4 names: Olivia Donovan, Marcus Langston, Sophie Donovan née Langston, Caleb Harper. Beside each one, word unforgivable. But the door knocked, Caleb looking haggard. "Blake, we need to talk." I let him in, voice flat. "Make it quick." He paced, running a hand through his hair, a shared trait from our father. I knew about the affair. For years. Rage surged, but I held it. "And Elise, Olivia's sister, she's involved too. She's been sleeping with Marcus, helping hide the drugs. They used her house as a drop point. I covered for them because family. Twist of the knife. My own brother bloodkin shielding a network that poisoned our legacy. You chose them over us. I thought I could fix it quietly." "Get out," I snarled. "You're on the list now." As Caleb left shame in his eyes, My phone buzzed with a text from the unknown number. The truth hurts, but deeper lies await. This is just the beginning. A friend. Someone else pulled strings, and the betrayal ran deeper than blood. Who was this friend? 3 weeks after what Liam had taken to calling the incident, I sat in my newly rented penthouse office downtown, surrounded by evidence boards and glowing computer screens. The walls were a war room surveillance photos, financial records, timelines, a map of betrayal. Evelyn Stone, my private investigator, a former FBI agent with a reputation for ruthless precision, spread new photos across my desk. Marcus and Olivia met again yesterday, she said, tapping a damning image of them embracing outside a lakeside cabin. Not even trying to hide it anymore. I pinned the photo to the board, my jaw tight. And Caleb? I asked, eyeing shots of my brother slipping into Marcus's office. Still playing both sides, Evelyn replied. Visits you, then reports to them. Classic middle child syndrome. Can't pick a team. 3 weeks of digging had unearthed a betrayal far uglier than an affair. Financial trails showed Marcus and Olivia siphoning client data and project plans for years. But worse, they'd used Caldwell Construction to launder money for drug shipments, tucked into hollow beams and fake permits. My empire built to honor my father's memory had been twisted into a criminal pipeline. But a new name surfaced in the records: Ryan Decker, a former colleague I'd fired 5 years ago for skimming profits. He'd been Marcus's errand boy, feeding him intel. And now, Evelyn confirmed Ryan was the one who sent the first text. Your kids aren't safe. But here was the twist: Ryan had turned on Marcus, leaking secrets to me for his own gain. A traitor betrayed. How poetic. What about the text? I asked. Any leads on the burner phone? Evelyn shook her head. Purchased with cash. I'm running facial recognition on the convenience store footage, but nothing yet. The mysterious friend kept sending messages, each revealing a new layer of deceit, always signing off a friend. Their identity was a puzzle, but their knowledge was dangerous. My phone rang Liam's school. Mr. Donovan, this is Principal Hargrove. There's been an incident. Liam's fine, but he's suspended for assaulting another student. I arrived to find Liam outside the principal's office, knuckles bruised, face hard, with an anger that mirrored mine. He deserved it, Liam said, unapologetic. Thomas Langston, Marcus's nephew, said our family was a joke, that Mom and Marcus were laughing at you while pushing drugs through your company. Principal Hargrove emerged grim. Given the provocation and Liam's clean record, it's a 3-day suspension, no further action. In the car, Liam stared out the window. Are you mad? Never for defending yourself, I said, gripping the wheel. But we channel emotions, Liam. We don't let them control us. He glanced at me, challenging. Like your evidence boards, Mom says you haven't answered her about seeing Sophie. She cries, Dad. Sophie's not my concern anymore, I said flatly. She was your daughter for 15 years, Liam pushed. She's scared of Marcus. He's been grilling her about your projects. My blood chilled. Sophie's text on Liam's phone confirmed it. Dad, I'm scared. Marcus keeps asking about your work. Mom cries all the time. Help us. I pulled into a parking lot processing. This wasn't just infidelity or drugs. It was corporate espionage meticulously planned. My phone chimed with another text from a friend. Looking in the wrong direction? Blake. The betrayal goes deeper. Check the lake house safe. The lake house safe held sensitive documents, project plans, my father's old contracts, emergency bonds for Liam's future. I checked it after the incident. Nothing seemed disturbed. But doubt gnawed. Change of plans, I told Liam. We're going to the lake house. At the vacation property, I punched in the safe's code behind a reproduction of Olivia's favorite Monet. Deeds, insurance papers, my mother's jewelry, all untouched. But the stack felt thinner. I pried open the false bottom I'd installed years ago. Empty. Gone were my proprietary building techniques, client data worth millions, and the key to a safety deposit box with bearer bonds. Someone had stolen my company's future. Liam handed me his phone. Another text from Sophie. Dad Marcus is furious. I don't know anything about your plans. He's scaring Mom. Please. The pieces clicked. This was a calculated heist, and my family was caught in its web. What do we do? Liam asked, eyes searching mine. I pocketed his phone. We spring the trap. Let them think they've won. But who was pulling the strings? Cardinal's Restaurant perched on prime real estate overlooking the Willamette River, its timber and glass frame screaming Pacific Northwest opulence. I arrived at noon, sharp, choosing a corner table with clear sight lines to every exit, a habit from years of outmaneuvering corporate sharks. Olivia arrived 7 minutes late, her delay a calculated power play I recognized from our 20-year marriage. Despite the betrayal, she was still striking honey blonde hair, cascading over a face that had once been my world. "Thank you for coming, Blake," she said, sliding into the seat across from me, her voice trembling but rehearsed. "Despite everything." "You mentioned threats," I said, cutting through her preamble, my tone as cold as the river outside. Olivia's eyes darted around. Then she reached into her purse, sliding a folded paper across the table. I unfolded it, large block letters scrawled, "I know what you stole. Return it or suffer." "Any idea what they're referring to?" I asked, keeping my expression neutral. "No, that's why I'm terrified," she said, her hand shaking as she reached for her water. "I haven't stolen anything." A lie. She'd always been a poor liar, her eyes widening just a fraction. "How's Sophie handling this?" I asked, watching her closely. Pain flashed across her face. "She misses you. She doesn't understand why you won't see her." "I think she understands more than you credit," I countered. "Has she been spending time with Marcus?" Olivia hesitated, a telltale pause. "He wants to bond with her, but she refuses. Blake, regardless of biology, you're her father, the only one she's known." I leaned forward, voice low. "Tell me about the safe at the lake house." Her eyes widened again, betraying her. "What about it?" "Someone emptied the hidden compartment. Took everything of value." "I didn't know there was a hidden compartment," she protested, voice cracking. "Lying still comes easily, doesn't it?" I said. "I showed you that compartment on our 10th anniversary when I stored your mother's necklace there." Olivia's face crumpled. "Blake, please, whatever you think, it's not what you believe. Marcus, he changed after you started pushing him out. Became obsessive controlling. He threatened me, the kids. Yet you're still sleeping with him." I slid my phone across the table, showing Evelyn's surveillance photos of their lakeside embrace. Olivia stared, color draining from her face. "You're having me followed." "I'm documenting a criminal conspiracy," I corrected. "Corporate espionage, drug trafficking, fraud." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "I never wanted this. It started as a mistake years ago, but it spiraled. Marcus has leverage over me. What leverage? Financial, she admitted. I've been moving money for him, hiding assets from his ex-wife. And there's more. He used our charity foundation, Hope for Kids, to scout vulnerable children for his network. Subtle emotional manipulation, nothing illegal. But I knew it was wrong. The words landed like a gut punch, crossing a moral line no American parent could stomach, using a charity to prey on kids. The waiter arrived, placing salmon for her steak. For me, our old orders, a deliberate move. I'd signaled the kitchen in advance. A flicker of hope crossed Olivia's face, thinking my gesture meant softening. Blake, she said, reaching for my hand. We built a life together. 20 years, that has to mean something. I let her touch linger, then withdrew. It meant everything. That's why your betrayal is unforgivable. Her eyes filled with tears. What about Sophie? She's innocent. No one's innocent, I said coldly. But I'll consider seeing her on one condition. Get me the contents of the safe. Everything Marcus took. She hesitated. He keeps it locked in his home office. I don't have access. Find a way, I insisted, or I proceed with charges against both of you. As we ate in tense silence, my phone buzzed with a text from Liam Uncle Caleb's at the penthouse. Says it's urgent. Perfect timing, the pieces were aligning. I stood signaling for the check. You have 48 hours, Olivia. She grabbed my wrist. Blake, there's more. Those threatening notes, Marcus is getting them too. Someone else is involved. Someone who knows everything. I nodded, as if this were news. 48 hours. Then I go to the FBI. As I left, another text from a friend hit my phone. You're close, Blake. But the real traitor's closer than you think. Ask about Elise, Olivia's sister. The web tightened and the betrayal cut deeper than blood. Who was Elise protecting Caleb was pacing my penthouse living room when I arrived, looking like he hadn't slept in days, his eyes sunken and haunted. Liam sat on the couch, arms crossed, watching his uncle with undisguised suspicion. Thanks for coming, Caleb said nervously, his voice cracking. I've been trying to reach you. I've been busy, I replied, pouring myself a scotch, the amber liquid swirling like the storm in my mind. What's so urgent? Caleb glanced at Liam. Maybe we should talk privately. Anything you say, you can say in front of my son. I insisted, my tone leaving no room for debate. Caleb ran a hand through his hair, that inherited gesture from our father, now seeming like a mockery. Marcus is unraveling Blake. He's paranoid, drinking heavily. Thinks someone's out to destroy him. Karma's a bitch. I observed, coldly sipping the scotch, its burn matching the fire in my chest. This is serious, Caleb pressed. He's convinced you're behind the threats, the break-ins at his office. I raised an eyebrow. Break-ins. Someone ransacked his home office 2 nights ago. Didn't take valuables, just papers, files. He's installed cameras everywhere now. This was new and concerning. Someone else was moving pieces on the board, disrupting the game. Why tell me this? I demanded. Caleb looked pained, shifting uncomfortably. Because I'm worried about Sophie and Olivia. They're staying with him now. Marcus insisted, said they needed protection. But I think he's keeping them under control. Liam stood, face hardening. Sophie's with him. She said she was at Aunt Elise's. Marcus picked them up yesterday, Caleb confirmed. Olivia didn't want to go, but she always bends to him in the end. I finished my drink bitterly. Why are you really here, Caleb? After admitting you knew about the affair, the drugs, he approached, voice lowered. There's more. I found something in Marcus's desk last week, a draft of new partnership papers for Caldwell Construction dated 3 years ago. He's been planning to take control for years. Why show me now? I demanded, suspicion coiling like a snake. You've known about their relationship. I only pieced it together recently, Caleb insisted. But Blake, it's deeper. I've been involved too, helping launder the money through side deals. It started small, but Marcus pulled me in. Rage crystallized again, cold and sharp. You, my own brother. Caleb's eyes welled. And there's worse. Mom's death, it wasn't natural. She found out about the early drug shipments through Dad's old contacts. Marcus, he suggested poisoning her to keep her quiet. I helped cover it up, thinking it protected the family. The revelation hit like a freight train, shattering what remained of my world. Our mother dead 5 years ago, from heart failure, murdered, to silence her knowledge, betrayal from blood, crossing into unforgivable murder. You monster, I whispered, voice deadly. I was scared, Caleb pleaded. Marcus had leverage photos of me with Elise too. She's been in on it all, filming blackmail videos. Before I could respond, my phone rang Olivia. I can get the files, she said, without greeting. Marcus keeps them in his basement safe. I know the combination. When? I asked, mind racing. Tomorrow night. He'll be at a client dinner till late. I'll bring everything to you around midnight. Midnight, the witching hour for secrets. But as I hung up another text from a friend, Voss is the key. He's been watching you for years. Cabin 17, Mount Hood Forest. Midnight tomorrow. Come alone. Victor Kane, the name from Evelyn's financial digs, funneling millions to Marcus over 5 years, labeled consultation. And Senator Raymond Voss, his brother, a Portland power player entangled in the web as a puppet for international drug rings. This wasn't local anymore. It spanned borders, corrupting the American system from within. I called Evelyn. Change of plans. Need you at the penthouse tomorrow at 11 p.m. Olivia's bringing the files. And the cabin. I'll handle it. Be ready for a double cross. That night, as Liam slept, my mind raced. Too many variables. Caleb's confession, Kane's invitation, Voss's shadow. Everything converged, and I sensed a trap. But every trap could be flipped into an opportunity. What I couldn't know was that someone had been monitoring my calls all along, anticipating every move, readying a counterstrike that would upend it all. Whose side was Caleb really on? The next evening, rain hammered the penthouse windows like accusations as I prepared for Olivia's arrival. I'd sent Liam to his best friend's house for the night, ignoring his protests. Whatever unfolded, I didn't want him in the crossfire. At 10:45, Evelyn arrived with 2 of her team, ex-military contractors, built like walls, faces etched with professional detachment. The building's secure, she informed me, checking her concealed weapon. Eyes on all entrances. If it's a setup, we'll know before they hit the elevator. And the cabin situation, I asked. My associate Martin's positioned there with thermal imaging. If anyone shows, we'll know. At 11:27, the security desk buzzed Olivia's arrival. Evelyn and her team melted into shadows while I stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, back to the door, a deliberate power stance. It's open, I called, not turning. Footsteps approached, too heavy, too deliberate for Olivia. I spun to find not my wife, but Marcus, standing in my living room gun, drawn smirking like a predator. Caleb flanked him, looking deeply uncomfortable, and behind them, Elise Olivia's sister clutched a leather portfolio, her eyes gleaming with something darker than regret. "Surprised?" Marcus asked, his voice dripping malice. "Not particularly," I replied, composure intact, though rage simmered beneath. "Where's Olivia?" "Safe," Marcus assured, waving the gun. "Unlike you." Caleb shifted. "Marcus, you said we were just talking." "Plans change," Marcus snapped. "Your brother needs to learn his position." "And what position is that?" I asked, eyes locked on the gun, the same one he'd pressed to Sophie's head. "Complete defeat," Marcus declared. "I have your wife, your daughter, my daughter. I have your company's future plans. By tomorrow, your clients will flock to my new venture." "All that scheming," I observed coolly. 8 years sleeping with my wife, stealing my intellectual property, laundering drugs through my builds, paying off this Victor Kane. Tell me, was it worth it? Marcus's expression faltered. "How do you know about Kane?" "I know everything," I bluffed. "Every offshore account, every payoff, every blackmail scheme. Does Olivia know the full extent what you've really done?" Caleb edged away, sensing the air thicken. "Marcus, maybe we should go. This isn't—" "Shut up," Marcus snarled. "Your brother ruined my marriage years ago, poached clients that were mine. This is justice." I laughed coldly. "This is pathetic. You couldn't build your own success, so you stole mine, including my family, and poisoning it with your drug empire." Marcus raised the gun higher hand, trembling with fury. "You always thought you were superior, the self-made man rising from nothing. Did you ever tell Olivia your first big client came through my connections? Without me, you'd still be laying foundations. Is that what this is, wounded pride?" "It's about what's mine," Marcus shouted. "The company should have been equal from day one. Instead, you hoarded control, treated me like hired help." I stepped closer, ignoring the barrel. "Because that's what you are, Marcus. Mediocre at best." His face contorted. "You think I won't shoot? If you planned to, you'd have done it," I said calmly. "Now put it down before my security team ends this." On cue, Evelyn and her associates emerged, weapons trained on Marcus, Caleb, and Elise. Marcus's fury peaked. "This changes nothing I still have." "Not quite," came Olivia's voice from the elevator. We turned. Olivia stood there clutching another portfolio, Sophie behind her eyes, red and wide. "What are you doing here?" Marcus demanded. "You were supposed to wait in the car." "I'm done waiting," Olivia declared, stepping forward. "Done hiding, done being controlled." She placed the portfolio on the coffee table. "Everything from the safe, all of it." Marcus lunged, but Evelyn's team intercepted, disarming him with brutal efficiency. "You stupid bitch," Marcus spat at Olivia. "After everything I've done for you." "You've manipulated and threatened me for years," Olivia replied, voice steady despite the fear. "Used my mistake to control my life." She turned to me. "I can't undo it, Blake, but I can stop the destruction." Caleb stepped forward. "Blake, I swear I didn't know about the gun. I thought—" "Save it," I cut him off. "You chose your side." Elise smirked, finally speaking. "Oh, but there's more to confess." She opened her portfolio, revealing ultrasounds and photos. "I'm Marcus's other lover, have been for years. And this—" She patted her stomach. "His child." I've used it to blackmail Olivia, keeping her in line. Family secrets run deep, don't they? The twist hit like a thunderclap. Elise Blood to Olivia not just complicit, but pregnant with Marcus's child, weaponizing it to shatter our family across generations. Unforgivable, destroying kinship for greed. Sophie gasped, tears flowing. Aunt Elise, I nodded to Evelyn. Secure them, all. As her team zip-tied Marcus, Caleb, and Elise, my phone buzzed with Martin's alert subject approaching cabin. Male 60s briefcase. Victor Kane had arrived. I showed Evelyn. I need to go now. What about them? She gestured to the captives. Keep them locked down. I'll return in 2 hours. I turned to Olivia and Sophie. You two stay. We're not done. Blake, please. Olivia began, but I was already at the elevator. Dad, wait. Sophie called the word piercing like a blade. I hesitated, then pressed down. As doors closed, Marcus's desperate shout echoed, "Stop him from Kane!" The final piece awaited. The drive to Mount Hood took just over an hour, the forested roads slick with rain and treacherous in the darkness mirroring the twisted path my life had become. I killed the headlights a quarter-mile from the cabin, proceeding on foot, with a tactical flashlight cutting through the gloom. Martin materialized from the trees like a specter. Subject entered 20 minutes ago. No other movement. Male silver hairsuit looks out of place here. Anyone else? Not that we've detected, but visibility shit in this weather. I handed him my phone. If I'm not out in 30 minutes, call this number, FBI agent Teresa Hammond. She owes me. The cabin was rustic, a single dim light flickering through rain-streaked windows. I circled once, no back exits, beyond a narrow window, too small for escape. Taking a deep breath, I knocked firmly. It's open. A cultured voice called from inside. I entered cautiously, hand hovering near my concealed weapon. The interior was sparse. A table, 2 chairs, a kitchenette, and a wood stove crackling with heat and light. Seated was an older man, silver-haired and aristocratic, dressed in a tailored suit despite the wilderness. Before him, a leather briefcase and a bottle of bourbon with 2 glasses. Blake Donovan, he greeted, pouring a measure. Finally, we meet in person. I'm Victor Kane. I stayed standing, senses alert. You're the friend. He smiled thinly. I prefer interested observer. Sit. We have much to discuss. I prefer to stand, I replied coldly. Why the texts? What's your connection to Marcus? Kane sipped his drink, unperturbed. Marcus Langston is a pawn, a greedy fool with a weakness for your wife. The affair was organic. I merely nurtured it once discovered. You orchestrated this? I realized, voice, low with fury. The betrayal, the drugs, all of it. He chuckled. Give me credit, but not too much. The infidelity bloomed naturally. Olivia lonely, Marcus attentive. I encouraged it for access. Why? I demanded. What do you gain from destroying my family? Kane studied me, eyes sharp as knives. Does the name Thomas Donovan mean anything? The question struck like lightning. My father died in a construction accident when I was 12. Is that what your mother told you? Kane's tone sharpened. Thomas didn't die in an accident. He was murdered after discovering his company was laundering money for my family's criminal enterprises in Portland. I stared at the file he slid across the table untouched. You're lying. See for yourself, Kane insisted. Police reports autopsy suppressed by a corrupt examiner. Witnesses vanished. What does this have to do with me? I asked, suspicion forming a terrible shape. Everything, Kane said. The man who ordered your father's hit was my brother, Senator Raymond Voss. And you, Blake, have spent 15 years dismantling every business tie our family held in this state. The revelation slammed into me a physical blow. I never targeted your family. I didn't know. Subconsciously, perhaps, Kane interrupted. Drawn to the same client's contracts, you've cost us millions. So this is revenge for something unwitting. Kane shook his head. Insurance. I needed leverage before you ruined us completely. Marcus provided it. By sleeping with my wife fathering a child, I asked incredulously. The affair was a bonus, Kane explained. What I needed was your business secrets plans impacting our interests. Marcus, motivated by ego and greed, was perfect. And the drugs, they funded it all hidden in your builds. I finally sat mind reeling. Why expose them now? Kane's smile turned cold. Marcus became unstable, too entangled. I needed you to handle him, your reputation for ruthless unforgiveness. You expected me to kill him. Destroy him, Kane clarified. Whether literal or not, but there's more. Your mother's heart failure. Raymond forced her suicide when she uncovered the truth about Thomas's death. Marcus helped stage it, provided the poison, buried the evidence. The twist crystallized rage into something lethal. Not just my father's murder, but my mother's forced end, with Marcus's hands dirty, unforgivable, erasing my entire bloodline for profit and power. And Sophie, I demanded. The grooming videos, Marcus has subtle manipulations from her childhood. I have copies. Kane said, tapping the briefcase. Leverage if needed. Betrayal layered upon betrayal, crossing every moral boundary, preying on innocence to sustain their empire. Why tell me now? We've reached an inflection point, Kane explained. Raymond's dying cancer. He wants amends, including with Thomas Donovan's son. Explanation, restitution. I laughed bitterly. Restitution for murdering my parents. The truth, Kane countered. Isn't that what you seek? He was manipulating, I knew yet. The lure of closure tempted. What happens next? Kane closed his briefcase. Your choice. Marcus is finished. Your marriage over. But your company endures. Your son does. And now, the truth about your parents. What do you want from me? Nothing yet, Kane said, standing. Consider this goodwill. Raymond's at Providence Hospital, room 412. A week left, perhaps. Visit or not. As he reached the door, I called, This changes nothing. Your family destroyed mine first. Kane paused. One more thing about Sophie. Marcus isn't her father. DNA doesn't lie, but his ego does. He faked it for control. With that, Kane vanished into the rain, leaving me with explosive files and questions burning hotter than the stove. Was Sophie truly mine? By the time I returned to the penthouse, rain still lashing the city, my mind was a whirlwind of Kane's revelations. If true, my father's murder and mother's forced suicide reframed everything my empire built on vengeance. I hadn't known I sought. I called Dr. Sarah Whitaker, Olivia's obstetrician, ignoring the late hour. Dr. Whitaker Blake Donovan. Emergency verify Sophie's paternity. A long pause. Mr. Donovan, I can't disclose. My family's imploding on a lie. I need the truth. Another pause. No test was needed. You were there for the birth. Blood typing matched, no doubt. But if Marcus claimed, impossible, she interrupted. Sophie has your family's rare antigen. Marcus couldn't be her father. Relief crashed through me, followed by searing rage. They'd lied about the core of parenthood, twisting biology for control. I burst into the penthouse, finding Marcus, Caleb, and Elise still secured in the living room, Evelyn's team, vigilant. Olivia and Sophie emerged from the guest room at my arrival, faces etched with exhaustion and hope. "Everyone sit," I commanded, voice brooking, no argument. Sophie looked terrified. Olivia resigned, Marcus defiant, Caleb broken, Elise smirking faintly. "I've just met Victor Kane," I announced, watching reactions ripple. Marcus paled. Elise's smirk vanished. "I know it all. The arrangement with Kane, the payments, the spying, and more." Marcus strained against his ties. "Blake, I can explain." "Shut up." I cut him off. "You've spun enough lies." I turned to Olivia. "Did you know Sophie is my biological daughter?" Her eyes widened in shock, genuine for once. "What?" "No," Marcus said. "Marcus lied," I stated flatly. "Confirmed with Dr. Whitaker. Sophie's antigen matches mine and my father's. He couldn't possibly be her father." Sophie gasped, looking between us. "So, you are my real dad." "Always have been," I said, softening briefly. "Biology just exposes their fraud." Marcus shook his head desperately. "No, that's impossible. Olivia told me." "I never told you anything," Olivia cried, horror dawning. "You convinced me with fake evidence." I nodded to Evelyn, who cut Marcus's restraints just enough for him to talk. 1 minute to explain before I call the FBI for espionage, kidnapping, trafficking, and fraud. Marcus stood, rubbing wrists. "Kane approached me 5 years ago, needed intel on your business. Offered big money. Seemed harmless at first, reporting contracts, clients." "And my wife?" "My daughter?" I asked coldly. "The affair predated Kane, but he fueled it for leverage. When Olivia got pregnant the second time, he suggested claiming paternity, faked the tests. And the grooming? It was to bind Sophie closer, make her loyal." "You manipulated me for 15 years, Olivia whispered, face ashen. "Used my guilt to control everything." "I loved you," Marcus insisted weakly. But then Liam entered from the hall. He'd snuck back early, overhearing. "Dad," his voice cracked. I knew some of it." The room froze. "What?" I demanded, turning to my son. Liam's eyes dropped. "Aunt Elise. She approached me last year. Said if I kept quiet about seeing her with Marcus, she'd protect Sophie. Showed me video, subtle stuff like Marcus teaching Sophie secrets. I thought it was harmless, but twist upon twist. My own son blackmailed by Elise, holding fragments of the truth. But Elise laughed lowly. "Oh, that's not all. I killed a witness, your old accountant, who stumbled on the drug trails. Staged it as overdose. Kane ordered it. I executed. Loose ends, you know." The confession landed like a bomb. Elise family by marriage, a murderer covering their tracks, crossing into cold-blooded killing to shield the empire. Unforgivable betrayal seeping into every bond even my son's trust violated. "You poisoned everything," I snarled at Elise. Sophie sobbed. "Aunt Elise, why?" "Power," she shrugged. "Marcus promised shares." I turned to Evelyn. "Get her secured tighter. Call Hammond, add murder to the list." As the room descended into chaos, my phone buzzed another text from Kane Deeper. "Still Blake. Check the files." The web wasn't done unraveling. How much more could one family endure? The penthouse air was thick with the stench of betrayal, each revelation piling onto the last like debris from a collapsing empire. Marcus sat zip-tied, his defiance crumbling into desperation. Elise, now restrained, tighter smirked, despite the murder charge looming. Caleb's head hung low, shame etching his features, while Olivia clutched Sophie, both trembling, under the weight of truths exposed. Liam stood by me, his confession still ringing in my ears. My own son, tainted by Elise's manipulation, had kept secrets. But the files from the lake house safe, now spread across the coffee table, held the key to ending this nightmare. I opened the portfolio. Olivia had brought proprietary plans, client data, the safety deposit key, all there. But tucked among them was a USB drive labeled Voss. I plugged it into my laptop, Evelyn watching over my shoulder as encrypted files loaded. Bank records, emails, contracts, evidence of Marcus and Olivia's money laundering through Caldwell Construction. But the scope was staggering. Shipments of M.A. Tui hidden in my building materials linked to international cartels. And at the center, Senator Raymond Voss, Victor Kane's brother, orchestrating it all. Emails showed Voss using his political clout to shield the operation, securing permits, silencing investigations. One file chilled me to the core. A report detailing a botched shipment that led to tainted drugs hitting Portland streets, linked to overdoses, children among them. The Voss family's greed had blood on its hands, staining the American dream with innocent lives. Raymond Voss, I said aloud, voice deadly calm. He's Kane's brother. Marcus nodded, sweat beading. He's the real power. Kane's just the fixer. Voss used your company to funnel drugs, Blake. He's untouchable. No one's untouchable, I replied, rage crystallizing into focus. Then the final twist dropped. A hidden video file on the USB. It showed Raymond Voss in a private meeting, not just with Marcus, but with a cartel contact. The Donovans are collateral, Voss said on screen, his voice cold. If Blake gets too close, we pin the overdoses on him. Frame him for the kids' deaths, public will eat it up. The room went silent. Sophie gasped, clinging to Olivia. Liam's fists clenched. They planned to frame you, he whispered. For killing kids, this was beyond betrayal. Voss aimed to destroy my name, my legacy, by tying me to the deaths of children, exploiting the public's outrage for his gain. Unforgivable, a violation of every value, family, justice, truth that Americans hold sacred. He's been playing you all, I said, turning to Marcus. You were just a pawn to pin it on me. Marcus's face crumpled. Voss promised me a council seat if I delivered your company. Said it'd secure my future with Sophie. You sold my daughter for a title, Olivia screamed, lunging at him. Evelyn restrained her. Enough, I said, voice cutting through. Marcus, you're signing over your stake in Caldwell Construction. You'll confess to espionage and trafficking in writing. Then you leave Portland forever. And if I refuse, he challenged, a flicker of arrogance returning. I leaned in, voice ice. I send this to the FBI. Voss may be dying, but his family's empire isn't. How long do you think you'd last once they know you're exposed? Defeated, Marcus slumped. I turned to Elise. You murder, blackmail, drugs. You're done. She sneered. You'll never touch Voss. He owns this city. Watch me, I said, nodding to Evelyn. Call Agent Hammond. Send her everything now. As Evelyn dialed, my phone buzzed with a final text from Kane. You found the truth. Now finish it. Room 412 awaits. The game wasn't over, but I held the winning move. I looked at Liam and Sophie, their faces a mix of fear and hope. We end this, I told them. No one destroys our family and walks away. But as Evelyn's call connected, a new realization Hit Voss's death wouldn't erase the damage. Someone else was out there, watching, waiting to strike. Could I trust even my own children now? With Agent Hammond en route, the penthouse became a courtroom of sorts, my judgment swift and merciless. Marcus, pale and defeated, stared at the documents Evelyn thrust before him, a full confession to corporate espionage, drug trafficking, kidnapping, and fraud, plus a deed transferring his entire stake in Caldwell Construction to me. Sign. I commanded, voice like steel forged in betrayal's fire. His hand shook as he scrawled his name, the pen scratching like nails on a coffin. You'll regret this, he muttered. Voss will. Voss is finished, I cut in. The FBI has everything now. You're untouchable, Senator. He'll rot in a cell, his legacy ashes. Marcus's eyes widened as Evelyn zipped him back up. Take him away, I told her team. Let the feds handle the rest. Next, Elise, her smirk long gone, replaced by raw panic, as Evelyn played the video from the USB grainy footage of her staging the accountant's overdose, injecting him while he begged. Murder one, Evelyn said flatly. Plus, blackmail conspiracy. Elise snarled, thrashing. You have no proof. We have this, I replied coldly. And Kane's files confirm you were his hit woman, cleaning up loose ends for the cartel. She went limp as the team dragged her out, her screams echoing down the hall. Unforgivable, a killer in the family, fold her actions staining generations with blood. Caleb was last among the traitors, my brother by blood, but stranger now. Blake, please, he begged, tears streaming. I was weak, scared. Mom's death. I helped cover it, but Marcus forced. Forced? I echoed bitterly. You chose greed over kin. You're cut off, no contact, no inheritance, no family. Sell the old cabin. I don't care. We're done. He crumpled, sobbing, as Evelyn's associate escorted him away. The weight of his betrayal lifted slightly, but the scar remained. As sirens approached below, I turned to Olivia. The divorce stands. Fair settlement, no more. You get nothing from the company, minimal support. She nodded, tears falling. I understand. I never deserved forgiveness. But Sophie stepped forward, hugging her mother before looking at me. Dad, can I stay with you? Relief flooded me. If that's what you want. It is, she whispered. Liam joined, placing a hand on her shoulder. We're family, the real one. Hammond arrived, a no-nonsense agent, with a file-thick dossier already building from my tips. This goes deep, she said, reviewing the evidence. Voss's office is being raided as we speak. The senator's bedridden, but he'll face charges trafficking corruption accessory to murder. Kane's fleeing, but we have borders locked. By dawn, news broke. Senator Raymond Voss arrested in his hospital room. His amends a farce, as agents hauled him away, tubes and all. Victor Kane, cornered at the airport, suffered a heart attack, mid-interrogation, poetic justice, dying without closure, his empire crumbling. I dismantled the rest methodically. Caldwell Construction, rebranded as Donovan Legacy, purging tainted contracts, donating drug profits to real child protection charities. Clients returned loyal to the man who'd exposed the rot. Marcus vanished into witness protection, a broken shell. Elise faced life in prison, her unborn child a ward of the state. Caleb faded into obscurity, a ghost of regret. Months later, with Liam and Sophie by my side, we stood at the new office, groundbreaking, a fresh start built on truth. Olivia visited occasionally, a tentative peace forged, but the marriage's ashes stayed buried. Vengeance served, cold tasted sweet, a balm to the wounds. They'd tried to shatter us, but we rose unbreakable. Justice at last. As the first light of dawn pierced the penthouse windows, washing away the shadows of the night, I stood with Liam and Sophie, watching the city awaken below. The FBI vans had come and gone, carting away Marcus Elise and Caleb, the remnants of a poisoned family tree. Olivia lingered in the guest room, packing what little she'd brought her presents, a ghost of what once was. "I'll go to my sister's, wait, no," she said softly, realizing Elise was gone, locked in a cell facing the abyss of her crimes. "A hotel, then, until the divorce." I nodded. No warmth left. "Take care of yourself." Sophie hugged her tightly. "Mom." "I'll visit." Olivia promised, tears in her eyes. "If your dad allows." I didn't respond. The bridge between us was burned, but for the kids' sake, I'd build a narrow path. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of reconstruction. With Hammond's team dismantling the Voss-Kane network, headlines screamed justice. Senator Voss indicted in drug scandal linked to child overdoses. Construction mogul Blake Donovan exposes corruption ring. Raymond Voss died in custody, his amends a hollow echo in an empty hospital room I never visited, letting him rot without forgiveness. Victor Kane's heart attack was ruled suspicious, but no charges stuck. His family's assets seized, scattered to the winds. My company thrived, rebranded as Donovan Legacy Builders, purged of tainted deals. I donated millions from recovered funds to anti-trafficking organizations, turning their poison into antidote. Liam and Sophie adapted stronger for the scars. Therapy sessions mended what words couldn't, and school became their sanctuary. Liam excelling in debate, channeling his anger into eloquence. Sophie in art painting, vibrant futures over dark pasts. We moved to a new estate, leaving Lake Oswego's ghosts behind. One evening, as we sat on the deck overlooking the Columbia River, Liam asked, "Do you think we'll ever forgive them?" I pondered the river's flow, a metaphor for time's healing. "Some betrayals are unforgivable," I said, echoing the list that still burned in my mind. They shattered our foundation, poisoned our blood, but we remember, learn, and build stronger. Sophie nodded. "We're the real family now." My phone buzzed occasionally with anonymous tips, perhaps remnants of Kane's network, but I ignored them. The game was over. I'd won. Olivia remarried, eventually a quiet life far from Portland, visiting on holidays with tentative peace. Caleb reached out once, a letter of regret. I burned it unread. As for me, I poured into the kids, teaching them the ruthlessness that saved us, tempered with the love that endured. This is where our story ends, but life presses on a new dawn, written on our terms. Some betrayals scar forever, but from those wounds, we rise unbreakable. Share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this tale of betrayal and redemption, subscribe for more.